You probably know that the most important part of any audio system is the speakers. This is the Klipsch speaker here. It's been a well-respected name for over 25 years. You're getting real value for your money here.
Oh?
These are horn-loaded both in the mid-range and the high frequency, so they provide for the greatest amount of efficiency. I think you'll hear that you can get that full sound you want just by adding a set of these speakers.
Won't I need a bigger amplifier?
No, not at all. Let me show you. A cleaner sound for the background music while in your dining room, and you'll get less distortion than with your present system when you turn up the gain for higher sound levels.
That's incredible.
Fantastic. Thanks everybody for joining us. We're really looking forward to tonight's live stream. Got a few special guests with me, the usual cast of thousands, but also we've got Roy Delgado, Chief Bonehead himself, and a Klipsch chief acoustic engineer, Mark Cassavant, who's had a wealth of titles, but is the Klipsch legend himself. Been with the company for a very, very long time. Knows the history, knows where the bodies are buried.
Here it comes.
You don't want to know
Here it
what
comes.
my title is for you, Mark.
And we have with
So
us Mike
predictable.
Dyer. Mike Dyer, the Klipsch Heritage Ambassador. So he is responsible for spreading the good word of the Heritage line and PWK's original designs. So thank you guys for joining us. We've got some really exciting stuff to talk about.
We got some serious goats here in the, goatees, greatest of all time.
A little bit, a little gray.
I don't have a goat.
You can, Mark.
Yeah, I'm not allowed right now.
You're not allowed.
Yeah, we won't talk about that.
Do you give up beards for
No,
Lent?
in fact, Mark, let's make it about that. Let's talk about that, Mark.
Mark, I think you and I were working together when I grew it for the first time 35 years ago.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
They had facial hair back then?
They didn't have any way to cut it. Well,
I'll take the young jokes. I'll take those all day. All right.
Well, we've got the belle of the ball tonight. Really is the new Klipsch Scala that will be coming out. The AL6. Looking forward to that being launched. But we've got some news and some surprises for you guys. Some stuff that nobody knows about this historic and legendary loudspeaker. I want to start off at the beginning of it by saying this is brought to you by the Klipsch Museum of Audio History. So this group here is all very actively involved with the museum. Matter of fact, Chief Bonehead is also the museum president. And we support the works of Paul Klipsch in science, engineering, art, technology, and are trying to spread the word about not only acoustics, but all of the things he did in his life and preserve those as well. But one of the things he was really good at was horn-loaded loudspeakers. And the Scala is a fully horn-loaded loudspeaker, three-way speaker. And we're going to be talking about that today. So we're also in the chat. If you have any questions, we'll have an open chat section where people can ask questions to anybody on screen, and we'll answer them as best as we can, as many as we can. Because people always ask, when are you guys going to be able to let us ask our own questions and give some time to that? So we'll donate or devote a significant amount of time on this live stream to your questions. So please put them in the chat and let us know. And then at some point in the near future, we're going to be giving away a pair of the Klipsch Scala AL6s, handpicked and designed by Chief Bonehead himself. There is a museum fundraiser that we're doing. So you enter for a chance to win. It's $25 a ticket to get in. And if you buy multiple tickets, the price goes down. But you get a chance to win a pair of $16,000 loudspeakers for, peanuts, really. So it's a great chance. So we'll post that in the chat, link to the fundraiser. But yeah, let's get right to it. What do you guys know about this speaker, La Scala?
Well, first I want to say, not for peanuts because I'm allergic to them. It's probably walnuts. Let's say walnuts. You'll get it for walnuts. What do I know about the La Scala? I started back in the last century working for Klipsch, as opposed to Mike and Mark, the 1800s. I had never heard of Klipsch. I came to work for Klipsch, got hired for Klipsch. My first pair that I ever bought, through accommodation was the La Scalas. So La Scalas have always had a really, really soft spot in my heart. I really love the design and the compactness and all that other stuff. It is a small speaker, by the way. And so because of that, and we got to this point of actually updating the mid-range horn, updating the compression driver of the mid, and that I kind of paid a special attention to the La Scala, and it bugged me all weekend after hearing a pair of La Scalas for in stereo. And against the corner wall, by the way, because I wanted them to have the same acoustic signature, and they are a lot closer now because of the Tractrix horn. That it really bugged me about the La Scala's real clean, but the cornrow had just a little bit of a growl to it, and I wanted that growl.
Fundamental differences between a vented teal small and a horn-loaded woofer, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. I just wanted that extension to come into play.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted. So I really I went fishing, and it just kind of bugged me, and I came in on the following Monday, and I told the guys, since we're waiting on the sample networks to come in and we have some time, I want to try some stuff. And I think we're there. I think what I'll do is I'll see if I can bring up, because I meant to get a little bit earlier to the house so I could give Brett some stuff to bring up, but to kind of share a little bit of because from the outside they don't look any different than the AL5. If you look at them the way in that picture right there, that's the way that they look. But how we load into that horn is just a little different. And I want to see if I can bring up, because I was looking for some pictures, because I know I took some pictures somewhere, and maybe it's in my third 007 phone. But I want to see if I can't find the pictures, then what I'm going to do is I'll bring up the actual solid model of it to show you, and I'll send that to Britt here in a little bit.
So, I think we need to let's back up just a second.
Yeah.
Because what's super exciting about this is we're talking about the legendary Klipsch speaker, the La Scala, which was the fifth speaker that Paul Klipsch designed and marketed a little bit later on, early 60s is when it came out. It was originally designed as a PA speaker for Winthrop Rockefeller's gubernatorial run in Arkansas, and he wanted to be the governor, and he had Paul Klipsch make him a PA that was basically a Klipsch horn with the back on it. and it evolved over time. It has a long history in the commercial and the pro space of being in nightclubs and houses of worship and all this sound reinforcement needs. Frat houses. But then in the 90s, the industrial look of the La Scala, it is a very striking speaker. It looks very unusual compared to a lot of other speakers, especially because you can't see the low frequency driver. But in the 90s, they decided they wanted to apply the same fit and finish that we had on the Klipsch horn and add the veneers to it and be able to bring it up to sort of this level of let's put it in the house. And so many people love this speaker. So many people count on this speaker, not only for their job, like in a house of worship, like I mentioned, or a nightclub, or using it, but also being able to come home and hear what it can do from a high sensitivity standpoint and all of the detail you get out of the speaker. So we have been through many iterations of the speaker, and the AL6 will be the new version that we will be launching after the first of the year. And Roy's talking about he found some ways to make it even better than we had even thought it was going to be. So we have some brand new. You don't have all the information yet, man. We've got some more information.
I think we need to alter Chief Bonehead's name and to take out the I, because he's cooking,
Chef Bonehead.
No. I'm just saying, make it Chef Bonehead, right?
The chef.
He's cooking in the kitchen, and he's got some new recipes.
Speaking of cooking, what are you guys drinking first? Let's do that first. Sorry.
Roy?
I'm drinking my usual. The Coors Light with the Twin Peak, or the One Peak, I think. I don't know. In fact, I was really close to there this past week. I was at Utah, and I was in the mountains, and I was looking for the brewery, but I couldn't find it.
Did
you find the mountain stream? That's the most important, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Mark, what are you drinking?
I haven't cracked it open yet, but this is my new collab with. It's called Foggy Geezer, and it's a really refreshing. It's War Pigs collaboration with our friends up in Munster, Three Floyds, right? So,
nice.
Oh yeah,
Foggy Geezer.
There it is. It's not the sound of Coke.
You had that last time, right?
Yeah, it's great. It's a go-to these days.
Mr. Dyer, what are you drinking tonight?
Well, I'm a man of a few tastes. I have my favorite Texas vodka with a little mixer in it. But what's important tonight is that we're celebrating hockey season with my Red Wings glass. This is my lucky Red Wings glass.
Sweet.
Let's go Wings. They just dropped a puck about 3 minutes ago in at Little Caesars Arena.
Fantastic. That's
great.
Well, well,
so have they made it up to the big leagues yet, Mike?
I think Detroit would put the big leagues on TV last night.
Oh yeah.
But I won't go there because we probably have friends from Texas watching.
That's great. I'm drinking a Heineken Zero alcohol. So cool. These things I've actually grown quite fond of them. If you just like the taste of a cold beer, working in the yard or hanging out and exercising or whatever, it's great. And then without the alcohol in it. So
those have come a long way. Those NA beers, pretty amazing. Yeah. Well, cheers.
Yeah, cheers, everybody. Guys. And cheers to La Scala and Paul W. Klipsch.
Oktoberfest.
Ditto.
You were kind of going over the history a little bit of the La Scala, and it's one of the things that always struck me about the La Scala was its iconic look. You cannot if you see one, you go, hey, that's a La Scala. I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, there's just no doubt when you look at one that it's a La Scala. Yeah. And so I've always that iconic look has always You know, it's just always been there. You talked about, you know, it being used as a PA speaker for, you know, for Mr. Rockefeller. In Arkansas, it's Rockefeller. And
Rockefeller?
yeah, Feller. And it's when I brought those home, my brother and some of my bandmates were had moved down with me because, you know, we wanted to record and stuff. And my brother, he just fell in love with little Scalas, and we used them for PA and playback on our demo tapes.
That's crazy.
That, I mean, to me, that's like, it's like, um, what I think it's a short list of speakers that could do both like that, you know. And you know, I was telling somebody the other day that the reason Paul Klipsch, you know, rated the La Scala for 100 watts is because he didn't want people to ruin their hearing in the house, because it, you know, it can generate some serious SPLs. But you know, it's kind of weird. You know, as soon as you get it out the house, the speaker says, you can put 400 into me, bro. I'll be okay." and you know, so in the club, you know, or wherever we were playing, that's what we would do. But yet in the house, okay, it's 100 watts now, okay. So you better turn me down.
Saves you years.
Yeah. I mean, so I've always, I guess it's always why the Scala is always, and you know, bottom line is what we have done with the Scala to this point. Um, it was not something that we were intending to do, but since we had the time, you know, my old buddy Tommy J, I call him Tom because when I need directions, I call him. So when he Tommy called me Roy Delay, and so and so I thought, okay, well, since we got some time and we're in a delay, I just wanted to try something. But it is a very the La Scala has always had that. I mean, there's some people that would not have anything else because of the cleanliness. I mean, if it has bass, you know, the La Scala gets you down to a certain amount, but it's so clean that that the bass that's there, I mean, it's just, I guess it goes back to just, you know, how much of a genius Mr. K was. That's really a bottom line, because it is a very unique, excellent sounding speaker in and of itself, or else it wouldn't have been around this long. Think about that. 63.
Yep.
1963.
So let me ask a question then. So how will the new La Scala AL6 be sold? We were talking about it having a passive version requiring, you know, external, and then an active version with an active crossover on it. So maybe you guys could talk about that a little bit. Like, it's been passive forever up until now.
Well, Mark, since you forced the issue on me, you get to handle this one, bro.
Oh my gosh.
You know, not putting you on the spot, but okay, I'll put you on the spot.
I see what you're doing.
No.
So, you know, I would say son of Jube, you know, it's another sibling. The cool things that are being brought to the table are really cool enhancements. You know, the V4 Heritage product has that wide dispersion phase plug that was launched with the Jube.
Yep.
It's taking exponential horns to Tractrix. That's a big one for these. You know, the hay horn and the Scala, the holdouts, right? And then applying some other wizardry that happened with the Jube. So Discovery, you know, with horn loading and bass drivers and system tuning. And I'll let Roy expand on that. He's talked about it in prior sessions, but it's really a remarkable, cool thing. And it's a patent, you know, so it's a neat discovery and it's being applied here. And I'm not going to spoil that little surprise, but so, you know, I sold a lot of Mike, you'll chuckle at this. A lot of Birch Raw La Scalas in Florida. Okay. And that was like, talk about bang for the buck. And, you know, if my buddies from Florida are listening, Ray, you know, it was hard to beat the horsepower you could get with that La Scala, right, in that finish. And what's interesting about the OJOS thing is those cabinets would be very chic right now, you know. But
yeah, you're right. In fact, kind of segueing a little bit into the OJOS, when I saw those cabinets, and when like I was talking to Jerry, and I said, "Hey, when I got here, isn't this the way we made heresies and Las Scalas, right?
yeah,
The
yeah,
old birch Las Scalas, man."
yep, they're cool. And so, you know, all these. What happened?
What?
I don't know. I got something weird on my screen here.
Oh, that's just Mike Dyer.
Teams, you know, it was Teams. Teams tried to open on me. What the heck? Mike, cut it out. So anyway,
Mike.
It's contagious.
yeah. So it's like a virus. Teams is suddenly a virus now as we're using StreamYard. But so let me get to my point here. I lost my train of thought there for a second. But the evolution continues, and the evolution isn't going to leave, you know, any models behind, right? So this is a really cool thing. And the reason I brought up the Birch Raw is because I sold those with low powered amps, and it was magical, and it's still magical. And I think that's still a cool goal for a lot of audiophiles to have a lower powered triode amp hooked up with these things passively. And we're going to bring these developments to the table in a passive system with a great network, with, you know, the wizardry that we're bringing to all the new gen stuff. I'll let Roy expand on that technically, but it's not just the drivers. It's the horns, it's the phase plugs, it's the alignment, because there's an alignment now with this low frequency section. And then of course the network. So all the components are playing in as they should, with all these little evolutionary steps that make it truly an AL6, a new gen La Scala. And it is deserving. The La Scala, you know, the name of it is from the Italian opera house, right? And I always, when I heard the La Scalas first, the clarity, you could see them flown in an opera house, and they'd be very cool looking up there. They wouldn't look like an industrial. They're a work of art. If they're flown, if they're in your living room, wherever they are, because you see wood, you see beautiful wood grain all over these. You don't really see drivers. I mean, unless you really want to, you really got to look into the throat of the horn and all. But they are really a statement in craftsmanship and beauty and woodworking, and they are the K-horn components. They've always been the K-horn components, but without needing a corner. So they always had that oomph of the K-horns, but you didn't have to have them in a corner, and they could just be put anywhere. You know, that, I mean, super flexible, and they delivered that classic Klipsch legendary sound, and they've been doing it, you know, almost as long as Roy's been around. It's pretty amazing. You know, they got the longevity. So no, this is an exciting time. And then back to Jube, son of Jube. So now we also have this active version with the outboard network, the active wizardry in a 3-way digital network that allows you to take it to the next level with triamplification per speaker, which gives you otherworldly performance that is an all new experience. So we're going to make this version, which will make the classic Klipsch fans super happy. They can keep that beloved amp and then just swap them out. And then if somebody wants to down the road, even, right, Roy, take it to the next level of active wizardry, they can do that. So it's kind of neat because we're kind of building in the AL7. You know, it's like,
Well, no, and I that's what when we were having those meetings, you and Mike, and some of the other guys were always talking about, because my intention, this is why I put Mark on the spot, and was to take it fully active, period. And that was my intention. And Mike and we talked to some dealers, and was we're the Jubilee is 4 channels of amplification, right? We take the La Scala from a passive, 2 channels or 1 channel amplification, and then we triamp it. We go from 1 to 3 per speaker, right? And you guys just threw a boomerang at me. And because I remember, because remember, Mike, we had these conversations about, bro, there's these guys that like these amps just the way they are, and then you're asking them to now do for stereo 6 channels of amp.
Yeah, it came down to affordability.
And they're still a veritable bargain. However, it does raise the commitment on the amplifier side.
If you've committed to running a $5,000 or a $10,000 stereo amplifier, and all of a sudden you got to buy 2 more, that makes these speakers twice as expensive. So the option we decided as a group needed to be there.
No, correction. I abstained from that vote. No, go ahead, Mark. I mean, Mike, go ahead, Mike.
But with the multi amplifications setup, there's folks out there, and you've heard all of us try to be non-committal to recommending a particular amplifier or particular design of amplifier. But there's folks out there that prefer the sound of a solid state amp. There's folks that prefer the sound of a tube amp. They like push pulls. They like single endeds. But one of the things over the years that a lot of folks have liked to do is to biamp a system and use solid state on the bottom end, because you can have a high current amplifier with a lot of control, and then have a tube amplifier on the top end to give it that that warmth and smooth, which is a function of higher harmonic distortion. But people love it. And so, this gives somebody the ability to build a La Scala the way they want it, and to highlight the things it does so well, and amplify those advantages that they've got. So it's if you've got a little flea amp and you like the way it sounds on a pair of current La Scalas, keep it on your new ones, and you're going to love it even more, because it will be, with the new drivers, with the new horns, with some other secrets that Roy is going to share with us later on. It's going to sound night and day better than the existing La Scala, while still sounding like a La Scala.
Oh yeah, yep. And it's what they're doing with the Jubilees now. So it's Act 2, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I was going to say that the majority of the Jubilees are probably solid state LF and tube amp on the HF.
Can you say that again? Say that again, Roy.
I would say the majority of the Jubilee people that have bought Jubilees are using a solid state on the bottom end and a tube amp on the HF.
Yeah, and that active network makes it easy to do that.
Yeah.
Control. Yeah.
But and I guess I kind of begin, because I'm a bonehead. That's why the name. I thought, no, let's just stick with DSP. No, DSP, because of the advantages. Because even, of course, like on a Jubilee, it makes a big difference. The getting the time and phase alignments, and of course the K horn, by the way, is also it's being updated, and we're going to offer a DSP on the K horn. It makes a big difference on the DSP. The actual getting them time aligned and phase aligned. The Scala's a shorter horn, but it's longer than I can do on a passive. That's for sure. But I begin to see, I understand, 2-channel versus 6-channel amplification. And so I said, ultimately what it came down to was, you want a passive? I want to get you a passive. These passive networks, bro, oh my gosh. We have to split them up into 2 boards. And one board is just for the LF.
Oh yeah.
And Yeah, big old inductors, and and I try to put as many of the PEQs to flatten out the sound as I would in a DSP.
Mm.
Um, so the vendor that's making these suggested two boards because the the topology is the same on a K-horn and a little Scala, and so you got these two big networks now. You got this huge network you're going to try to fit into a K-horn on the HF cabinet, right? And therefore, how are you going to do that? So I basically they're triangular boards, and one of them is going to be attached to the top of the HF cabinet, top panel, and the other one's going to be attached. The HF-MF is going to be attached to the bottom of the LF. I mean, of the HF cabinet. And so, and those boards now will be able to fit to the Scala. Scala HF has a lot of room anyway, but it actually was quite the trick to try to get them into a K-horn now. But, and so it's quite the network. And in seeing the frequency responses, we should also mention that the only reason we're here, and I don't know if we even mentioned it in the other one before, uh, the only reason we're here that we're doing an AL6 and an AK7 is because the mid-range tool for the 401 horn was wearing out. And our vendor was saying, his name is Barry, he's going like, we either make a new one or you make another one. And I said, well, Mr. K had given his approval a long time ago. In fact, the only exponential horn we have in the lineup in all our Klipsch product is the 401 horn. That's the only exponential horn we had. And so I said, you know what? If we're gonna spend the money to tool a horn, let's go ahead and tool a new tractor expander. And so that's why we're here anyway. And so we knew that, and I was wanting to go, DSP, but the bottom line where we're even talking about something new is because we had to tool that.
So
And that's
if you put that together, there's new horn package, new passive network, and the option of an active network.
correct, the window.
And new driver.
So the
New
speakers
drivers.
all the speakers are going to come with a passive network, okay? And then the way and because the M&M show, actually there's M&M and M, but the M&M show, Mike and Mark wanted to offer a passive and then as an active later. We figured out a way on the back of these speakers so that it's already set up. You buy them with the passive network, you plug them in. You're even you know how we do passively biamp, passively triamp. We can do this with this speaker too, but now we have the option of getting the DSP unit separately. You disconnect 6 wires, and then the amplifiers from the DSP unit come directly and hook up into the speaker without having to do anything else.
Wow.
So it wasn't just 3M here. We had calls with dealers.
Yeah, but those guys are my friends, so I don't want to blame them.
Paul Klipsch himself flew to his dealers, right? And he would take a couple of them. Paul Klipsch himself, right? So if you want to get in a little small Piper Cub or something, fly around to see some dealers.
I was the 4th guy in the Wizard of Oz, but my deal was if I only had a plane.
So we're just carrying on the tradition of.
Well, Mr. K could do that because he had a freaking plane, bro.
So now we have video calls. We can get the dealers up. We can dial them up. So.
Fantastic. Well, and I love the idea that this thing is going to be available with some options. In the past we've had, people have said, well, the Scalas are great, but you might need a sub for the bottom octave or some of that stuff. And tell us a little bit about some of the bass extension that we've been able to get with the active network.
Well, what the active network does is it because it's so precise, and as long as the speaker is consistent, you know the things that you'll have to do in order to get the extension. Even with the Underground Jubilee, I would tell people, as long as you boost at resonance and not below resonance, you'll be all right. Okay. In fact, you can take advantage of that because there is minimal excursion at that point, and so you can boost it on the Underground Jubilee. Um, if you boost it at about 32 hertz, I think it was 34 hertz. I think was the setting. You could get down to about 32 hertz on the Underground Jubilee. And so that's what I was going to do with the La Scala. Um, in fact, that I mean, because when you have minimal excursion in the driver and you boost, you don't Mark, say that for me. Say appreciably for me. I can't say that word. You don't appreciably increase distortion because you're boosting where the driver is minimally moving. So it's kind of in fact, Mr. Geis used to call it, when you boost, when the driver doesn't move, where it doesn't move very much, he used to call it the bassomatic.
Stretching physics a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Cheating. Just trying to extend the dirty curve because if it's not moving much and it moves more at other frequencies, and you really don't appreciably increase distortion. Voila. So we used to do that little trick on. I would tell the guys, and we actually at one of the Jew fests we tried it, so that it doesn't really increase distortion. So this distortion is your enemy, especially when you're trying to recreate live music. And I don't understand why nobody would ever not want to do that, recreate live music, right?
Well, that's that's one of the things that I've had conversations with folks both online and over the last 40 years. The question always comes up is why is the La Scala have less bass than a Cornwall, for example? And so the conversation always goes back to what Roy was just talking about. And it's in the case of those two speakers, it's quality versus quantity, quite frankly. The Cornwall goes deeper, but as a direct radiator, and it's whether it's our direct radiator or someone else's, it doesn't matter. It's going to move more than a driver that's loaded into a compression system and a horn.
Has to work harder.
So I for years I've always told people that as you go up in the Klipsch line, you always get better bass. Every step up, you're going to get better bass. Sometimes that better bass is lower frequency response, but sometimes it's less frequency response with lower distortion. And based on Mr. K's principles that Roy's team still works on today, intermodulation distortion is like number one on the list of things to minimize. And so we'll give up a little bandwidth if we can reduce the distortion by 90%, which is what happens when you put that same driver on a horn. So
Mike, it's number 1 through 10, and then the others. I mean, it is because it is the biggest detractor. Intermod is the biggest detractor in trying to listen to music because it's not harmonically related at all.
And I won't go into my diatribe on this stuff, but it's great. And one of the things that I'm thrilled about the AL6 is that for the first time in a long time, we're seeing Roy's team, and specifically Roy,
and Jesse
and
Lee
work. Yep,
and Ronnie.
And using trickle down technology. Basically, a lot of things that were developed for the Jubilee were then transferred to the very well rumored horn loaded subs. We had the Subfest last year. Those of you that got to feel and hear those. And then I don't know how much you're talking about how that technology is trickling down into the AL6. because Roy sent me a text a couple weeks ago. I think he was loading up his fishing boat or something, and he gave me this news. He says, "But don't tell anybody. I haven't even told the product guys yet."
Yeah, that's right. You know what I told the guys was
Yeah, you'd be in the doghouse if you did that.
well, I literally
Get
was
it?
in the doghouse. I think
Get
it was
it?
Ronnie going in there. You know what's funny is Ronnie used to build the Scalas for Klipsch, and so now he's working up in the lab, and so he was really pumped. Here's a speaker that he used to build, right? And we're doing these experiments on, and so he was pretty pumped about it. And so what's funny is when we got to that point, I think it was Jesse that said, so how are we gonna do this? And I said, dude, I haven't even told the product guys yet. Did this, because it's not a question of if we're gonna do it. It's like we're gonna do this, but how do I tell them? It's
Well,
like
first you had to tell Jerry. We need to talk about the doghouse.
Yeah. No, that's funny because I did walk in that morning. Remember I told you I thought about it that weekend, and I'm going like, I need to go talk to Jerry because I needed him to make me the parts to try this, right? And he told me, Roy, so he said, what do you want to do? And I said, well, I want to try this. I want to put some ports in it and stuff. So we decided to go. He said, let's go to the plant. I want you to show me what you're gonna do. And so we went out to the plant, and we're looking, and I said, Jerry, all I want to do is this. And he goes, so he's looking at the doghouse. So you're just gonna mess with the doghouse? And I said, yes. He goes, okay, just the doghouse. Don't change anything else. And I was ecstatic, going like, okay, cool, I can do that. He goes, don't change the cabinet, don't change, the outside shell, right? And so that's what we stuck with. And I kept. Actually, there was something else I wanted to change, but I knew Jerry would. You would talk about the dead bodies that are buried. I might be one of them if I told Jerry what else I wanted to do.
So does everybody know what you're referring to? Do you need to explain a little bit?
The what?
The
The dead bodies? Huh?
The doghouse.
Oh, it's basically the pyramid section of the Scala. The pointed thing you see in there. We call it the doghouse because if you put it on its side, it looks like a doghouse. I think that most guys would know what a doghouse is because they get sent there a lot. I know mine was outfitted pretty well because I spent a lot of time there. So I got Jerry's blessing, and then I listened to them in stereo. That's when I texted Mike and I said, you gotta hear this new Scala. I texted you too, Mark. I said, you gotta hear this new Scala. But don't tell the product guys. See that little pointy thing in the middle right there? That looks like a dog. Oh, that is a doghouse. That's what we call it internally. And so, basically, you talk about trickle down technology earlier, Mark. Basically, what I did is we have a patent. The patent says you can horn load the vents and the woofer into the horn, and you get so much acoustic gain. And so I'm looking at this doghouse, and I'm thinking, how am I going to put some ports in this thing? I figured out a pretty because I'm always thinking of Jerry. Just telling you, bro. I don't know if you're there, Jerry, but I'm always thinking about you, bro. And not just because of speakers either. Haha. And so I thought, well, I can do this. I can, make it symmetrical so it's easy to make. And here's the big kicker. You guys ready for this? Because I've often heard this, Mike. You've heard I heard you say earlier about, people talk about, how come the Scala doesn't have much bass? It's got a 15-inch woofer in it. It isn't about the woofer size. It's about the woofer coupled to the airspace and how you load that. So I did some. I looked at some of my software, and a different woofer would actually work better in there. It would actually couple better to the ports and the air volume that I had, and into the horn better.
Mhm.
And so the big shocker now is when it's not a 15-inch woofer anymore. It's a 12-inch woofer. So we have a 12-inch woofer, but not just any old 12-inch woofer. Um, the K33 has a 2-inch voice coil, and it's got certain teal small parameters. And Mark, as you know, you and I have talked about before, that these uh, in order for to efficiently couple this into this, the woofer needs a weird teal small parameters. And so this 12-inch woofer just happened to have that. So we put it in there, and because it's also got a bigger magnet structure, it's able to keep up with the mid-band efficiency. Quite honestly, it doesn't matter because of the slot. It just doesn't matter as long as you have the efficiency in the mid-band. And so that, with two of the Cornwall ports into the um, into the horn, and this 12-inch woofer, we get pretty good increase in the LF extension. In fact, Britt, I was supposed to tell her the chat, right? I sent her a graph, and I'll tell her here. Hey, Britt.
Okay, let's put up that graph.
Yeah, Britt, can you put up that graph, Britt? Um, it it's funny because I told the guys all I want is 10 hertz more. I want to go from 50 to 40. And that sounds weird, just 10 hertz, right? But Mike being the bass player, Mike, what lives between 40 and 50 hertz, Mike?
Low E on a 4-string bass and a low, what is it, C on a 5-string, which I don't play.
Right. But there's a lot of bass energy in there.
Oh yeah, there's a ton. That's 2/3 of an octave.
2/3 of an octave. Because it's funny, it's 10 hertz. Now, if I told you that I wanted to go from 20,000 to 20,010 hertz, that's not a big. That's like you want to say, well, you're crazy, Roy. 10 hertz up there doesn't really matter because it's logarithmic how you hear, right? That's why frequency response is not linear on a graph. It's actually logarithmic because that's the way we hear. And so 10 hertz, if you want to go from 20 to 10 hertz, that's a big deal. 30 to 20, big deal. If you want to go from 500 to 490, not so much. Like, really, Roy, it's like you're overpaid, bro. But
I've never heard you say that over beers.
uh,
Well, he's now said it publicly, so there it is.
I hope Paul's not listening. I hope he's not listening. But there you go. Graphically, that's what you get, bro. That is the bottom end of the orange is the original Scala. And the olive, or I guess kind of yucky green curve, is the new AL6 bottom end extension. And if you look at the roll-offs on the La Scala, you can see, you have the 12 dB per octave of the CO cabinet, and then you have the 12 dB per octave of the high pass filter of the horn. Okay, so it's 24 dB per octave on the La Scala. If you look at the olive curve, now we've added ports to it, so it's actually a 36 dB slope. But look at the energy that we're getting, and you see where they intersect. It's basically the trade-off. I have more at 40 and less at 25. I'll take that.
Very cool. You got your 10 dB or your 10 hertz.
Yep, I got the 10 hertz plus. And so, I mean, at 40, we're what, 5 dB increase in the SPL. And man, when and this is this is ground plane, by the way. This is all ground plane.
Yeah, you got 6 dB at 35. I mean, with room gain, you're
Oh yeah,
too, you know, that's. I mean, now you're getting into 5-string bass territory, Mike. You know, you're getting down to a bottom B on a 5-string. So I mean, you're gonna feel that stuff. And then
oh
you
yeah,
have to have a sub. You roll it all the way down.
Yeah,
and
you're
just
crossing
add
it
a
over
little
way
bit.
lower. Yeah.
Yeah, all the way down if you have to do that, you know. But
and again, this is all ground plane. So you put it, you
Yeah.
know, put it half space, you put it quarter space.
Yeah.
That tuning in the speaker, because it's reflected. Remember, a speaker is it when it exits the wave into the horn, there's an impedance that it sees. So if you start to raise that impedance, then it effectively couples more and actually starts to tune lower.
Hence a smaller airspace versus outside. And granted, everybody who's watching, you know, we're getting into the technical stuff, and I'd imagine a lot of you really eat that up, especially when Roy's sharing this kind of development information. But you know, this is what will. I mean, just think about that much more base energy, but with the speed and accuracy and cleanliness of the famous La Scala. So, is this is pretty much just the passive results, right, of the development work, right?
That's passive. In fact, that was the raw response of the LF. Nothing in the way, just the raw response of the LF.
Right.
Because to me, you know, you have to make sure the ingredients are perfect before you mix them together. And so I always look at the raw, you know, at the raw data first.
Mm-hmm.
And now when I listen to that against the Cornwall, now the only difference that I hear is how clean it is, how clean those Scala is.
Yeah.
That it has that growl and like the Cornwall does, but it sounds like it took a bath. It's clean.
Wow. So that's an interesting package. You know, new horns, new drivers. And then we've got this whole thing happening with the LF where it extends lower. Plus the ability to have the active crossover to really fine tune. That's a crazy package that's coming together for the new La Scala AL6, which will launch at the beginning of the year. And you know, this is a really cool time to be getting into audio because not only is it becoming a little bit more simpler, the results are easier to get to without so much tweaking anymore. And if you want to tweak, the options are there. But you know, right out of the box, this stuff is sounding fantastic.
So I'm gonna add, and Roy, we had a nice long conversation the other day. Mike, your ears might have been burning, but you know, so we've been talking about the bass extension, the natural sensitivity of the new bass alignment, because it is a vented system into a horn. So this is a very cool new aspect of it. And then the wide dispersion phase plug. So the ability of the high frequency section. Oh, go ahead.
The new mid-range horn. I mean,
and the new mid-range horn. Of course, it's all coming in now. It's going to be, in a lot of ways, a new experience. I mean, it is, right?
Yeah. I mean, the La Scala is coming out now with basically 3 patents. The K1 with 2. You know, when we were doing these testings, Lee and Ronnie asked, "Are we going to do the same thing to the K horn?" And I said, "Have you seen the curve on the K horn? The K horn doesn't need extension. it gets down there. I mean, it gets down there to about in a quasi or in a quasi anechoic A space. It gets down there, and I'm not talking about tight in the corner. I always back it off about 12 inches, and when we curve it, it gets down to 33, 32 hertz.
But that's the
And
function of the horn and the length of the
correct.
horn. I mean, that's all the laws of physics right there.
Yeah,
Where the La
it's physics,
Scala
exactly.
doesn't have that leverage that
Correct.
the K horn has. So we're giving it a little extra leverage inside.
As Mr. K would say, dirty tricks.
So we are
Dirty
answering
tricks.
we are answering so many of the questions that have been posed in the chat. This is good stuff. Obviously, all this the new La Scala AL6 will be sold through verified heritage dealers who we love and appreciate all of the support. But that's how you get one of these. You reach out to your heritage dealer. We have a dealer locator on our website, or check in with your local hi-fi shop. But the other thing I wanted to mention is we are posting the link to win a pair of these. Matter of fact, the first pair of these in the chat. So feel free to click on that. All the donations go to support the museum, the Klipsch Museum of Audio History, who's hosting this great live stream. So you guys we appreciate the support. But somebody's going to walk away with a really killer pair of La Scala AL6s for a $25 donation. So check it out. Follow that link and see if we can get that going. One other thing, a little bit of housekeeping before we close out tonight. I wanted to mention that there is a Chief Bonehead class, November 15th through the 16th. And if you're interested, follow us on Facebook. We just posted it today. With all the details in it. We're having the Dusty Rose band concert on the 10 Shed #2 stage, and there's plenty of other details as well. But come listen to Roy talk about the science behind acoustics and learn about. You'll get to hear the new La Scalas. So November 15th, 16th.
I think that what we're I think we're going to do for the listening or for the Bonehead class is, we'll do a back-to-back comparison AL5 AL6 passive form, and then we'll listen to passive form stereo with the new AL6s and then DSP, and then and I guess we'll throw the Klipsch horns in there as well.
And fajitas.
Well, yeah, fajitas were when you remember when they did that nutrition chart. You gotta have bread and stuff like that. Mine was a little different. It had fajita at the top, and then beer second, and
That's great. I like that.
That's what I'm real healthy.
The food
Just
groups.
saying, bro.
And a great band.
One more question from the gallery I want to throw out there. So we were talking about an upgrade kit for AL5 owners. Would the changes to the doghouse make this no longer possible?
It depends on your skill. There's a little trick. Every AL5, you can actually remove the doghouse. Wow. And so what I was thinking is, depending on your skill, we'll do a 5.5 upgrade and then a 6 upgrade. A 5.5 will just be the mid-range horn, the compression driver, the face plug on the tweeter, and the passives. The 6, again, it's going to require, you have to know how to use a screwdriver. You have to know how to run a bulldozer. No, just kidding. A screwdriver and a little bit of elbow grease to remove the current doghouse, and then install the new doghouse, which has the ports, 2 Cornwall ports. Actually, I call them Cornwall ports, but we stole those ports from the R7. Because as Paul used to say, I stole it from another thief. So So we have the two R7 ports in there with the new woofer, and so that'll be the full AL6.
Maybe we should do a IKEA style instruction manual that just says, remove the doghouse and replace with a new one. Let
And
everyone
if you have,
figure it
and
out.
then if you have any trouble, you call Mike Dyer. Here's his phone number.
Yes,
And if you got parts left over when it's done, you got a problem.
it's still okay. So in the chat, Mr. Travis is asking, what is the connection between the La Scala speaker and the Monterey Pop Festival? He said he's going to give a free membership to the first person who gets the answer correct. So see if you guys can answer that. No one has got it so far.
I also wanted to bring up, Matt, that Mike was talking earlier about all these questions. It's got a 15-inch woofer. How come there's no bass on the Scala? I'd like to do some more of these, or some these, our listening lounge more often to take on topics like that. In fact, you guys, I'd like a list of topics, things to discuss, and if we pick it, I personally will get you like an Austin or a Nashville or something, because I would like to address these things so that because there tends to be a lot of I guess it's the old adage, if you repeat it enough it becomes truth. Wrong. It just becomes repeated BS. I was gonna say the word but I can't because my mom's probably watching and she'll get mad at me. So but anyway, so I want to talk about I do want to talk about how certain things work. You know what? And you can call me out. I come with receipts because I keep all my emails since actually 1996. So I have some from Mark that I know I'll make a lot of money out once he starts getting all those royalties from all the car stuff. So I'm waiting, Mark. I'm waiting, brother.
Hey, DOS and Windows 3.1 doesn't work anymore, so I'm not.
Oh
sorry.
yeah, they do. If you keep them personally, bro. I have my horn program runs on Basic A, and I have computers. I have backup drives in case I can't find any anymore.
What do you got? A Trash 80 Radio Shack with floppy drives? What do you got over there? I don't know, man. Is that
Do you know when I
museum?
first came?
Pull it out of the museum, roll it out.
Roy's
When I
floppy
first
drive.
came to work for Klipsch, our final assembly testers were the 13-inch floppy disk things that you loaded into the computer and booted them up. So
I think
So
half
don't
of
be
our
so
audience doesn't
irreverent,
know what we're
Mark.
talking about. Half of our audience might not know what we're
Yeah,
talking
Roy's got punch cards.
So, guys, I don't want to leave this session by thanking a couple of people behind the scenes. The one and only Brittany Kelly. Thank
the
you
gorgeous
for all of the help and all of the patience that's required dealing with all of us knuckleheads. And Glenn Mosby, museum member. And if you're watching the museum. Yeah, if you're watching the museum's Facebook or their YouTube channel, there's a lot of stuff that's going on right now. We're serializing the history of the Klipsch horn, and we're doing a full tour of the museum in episodes. And the museum episodes are produced by Glenn, and he also manages the museum's YouTube site. So thank you guys.
They're amazing. And they are amazing.
Thank you guys so much for helping us out. Please donate to the museum, support the museum. We'd like to thank all of our members and the people who support us. Please don't stop doing that. We really are doing the good work out there and want to make sure that the word of Paul Klipsch stays. I saw Roy's face. It's a bobblehead. We want to make sure the word of Paul Klipsch gets out there into the world. This is a 1-of-1 Paul Klipsch bobblehead.
Oh my goodness.
Dude, where's mine?
I'll make you one. This is a little
Dang, bro,
pinch
that's
outfit.
cool.
Hey, and
Cool.
Travis, if you're still here, tell us the answer to your quiz.
No. I also want to thank my boys in the lab. They did an amazing job. And I'm serious. I want topics. Topics.
All right, gentlemen. Until the next listening lounge, thank you so much for a great night.
And in Hope, I'll see you guys in Hope. You know why?
If we can.
You probably know that the most important part of any audio system is the speakers. This is the Klipsch speaker here. It's been a well-respected name for over 25 years. You're getting real value for your money here.
Oh?
These are horn-loaded both in the mid-range and the high frequency, so they provide for the greatest amount of efficiency. I think you'll hear that you can get that full sound you want just by adding a set of these speakers.
Won't I need a bigger amplifier?
No, not at all. Let me show you. A cleaner sound for the background music while in your dining room, and you'll get less distortion than with your present system when you turn up the gain for higher sound levels.
That's incredible.